Welcome back, YouTubers, to an episode of Near Mint Condition Gaiden. This is Omar, and today I wanted to do a little review, or more like an overview, of the complete Peanuts hardcover collections by Fantagraphics. It just completed last week. This was the final volume. You get the box sets. But the final volume was released last week, containing the strips from 1999 to 2000. So 12 years ago, this is where the journey began right here. This is the complete Peanuts 1950 to 1952. So this came out in October of 2004, and every year they would Fantagraphics would release 2 volumes, and eventually the volumes would be collected in these nice box sets. However, these box sets at the time that I didn't know were very limited. So if you didn't get them when they came out and they sold out, they did not reprint them. So as you can see, some of these are box setless, which, you know what, it's okay, because I love Peanuts, and I'm happy that I finally own all the strips. I never thought that Fantagraphics would complete their box sets, but they finally did. And here we are, 12 years later. And if I think about where I was 12 years ago, it's kind of crazy, considering now my 7- and 5-year-old daughters are reading these books with the same smile across their face that I had when I was reading them, back when my dad used to get the newspapers. See, when I was a kid, my dad would get the newspapers, and I would always look forward to The Far Side and Peanuts by Charles Schulz. Because to me, the world's most famous dog, cartoon dog at that, is Snoopy. Yeah, that's right, Lassie. And Scooby-Doo. I said it. Snoopy. World's most famous cartoon dog. So, even as a kid, I could tell there was something different about the cartoon strips, because it was mainly kids expressing themselves to other kids. It wasn't about the adults. It was like these kids were thrown in a world where there were no adults, even though they were just in the background. But they were there, and they made their own mistakes, and they had to solve their own problems. So while the slapstick humor was there to appeal to the kids like us, I didn't realize until I was an adult how deep the philosophy there was for us that are kids at heart. So I cannot recommend these books highly enough. I always give them away as Christmas gifts. And right now would be a good time if you haven't started, because Fantagraphics last year started releasing a softcover edition with box sets. So you can get them like that. And each book, these are the hardcover, of course, so just really quick. They have a really nice binding. They all come with a nice little dust jacket. This is the very first volume. Each volume comes with an introduction from anybody like Walter Cronkite to Whoopi Goldberg to apparently this latest box set right here has an introduction by President Barack Obama. But, you know, you have just the classic stories. They all look a little bit different back then. And so, you know, they're the classic 4-panel strips. Good grief. Charlie Brown. So, I just took out this box set, and I just wanted to take a quick look at it. This is the final volume. The final box set. Sadly, Charles Schulz passed away in February of 2000. So, this final collection of 1999 to 2000 is probably very slim, so I don't know what they're going to fill it up with. And there's also this right here, which is, it's a definitive collection of the comics with an afterword from Gene Schulz. So that's pretty cool. That's, of course, the book that they needed to fill up this box set, because these box sets always contain 2 volumes, 4 years worth. And since there was only 2 years worth, they had to do something like this. So that was very cool. I'm glad they did it. So what I'm curious about is what happens after... that's what they fill it up with. Okay, so it looks like they filled up the rest of the volume with Little Folks strips, which is where Charlie Brown and Snoopy started before they became Peanuts. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I wanted to do a quick little just review of these books because they're all great. I mean, there's not much I can say that hasn't already been said about Peanuts. If you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest you buy the very first volume in trade paperback form. So I guess that's it. So thank you, Fantagraphics, for doing this and completing something that none of us thought when we bought the very first volume back in 2004 that you would finally complete. But you did it. And thank you most of all, Sparky, for all those years of laughs.